All right, we're here to talk about the gem of the Ole Miss transfer portal class, and that is Zach Evans. Everybody might think about Jackson Dart, talk about Jackson Dart, but Zach Evans is the dude. He's an Adrian Peterson level talent, in my opinion, and we have Corey to talk about that in this episode of Breakdown on the Locked On Ole Miss podcast.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Willis. Thank you very much for joining us. I do want to tell you before we get started too much about BetOnline. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find all your favorite sports and events at the #1 online sports for odds, lines, and games. What's the over-under on Georgia's win total this season?
The over-under is 10.
10 wins. Not 10.5 or 9.5. It's 10 even, so you can push.
Yeah, you can push.
Okay. Anyway, find reviews and news of every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. I bet they would do Major League Soccer if you said pretty please. BetOnline
I need them Colorado Rapids lines right now.
DC United, Charlotte FC, let's do this. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sport wagering information, including live in-game betting, scores, and podcasts. They have you covered. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn more about the action happening today. Remember, Ole Miss right now is a 21.5-point favorite over Troy in Week 1, and their regular season win total is at 7.5. If you disagree with either one of those, you can put your money where your mouth is. BetOnline, where the game starts. I am here with Corey Burton. And Corey is the offensive coordinator at Hillwood High School, and we are going through doing breakdowns of newcomers plus Luke Altmaier at Ole Miss. How you doing, Corey?
Man, I'm great, man. I'm excited to be here. This one fires me up. We've done the quarterbacks already, and now I'm ready for this one. This one is This guy is somebody I've been kind of following for his entire career at TCU.
Yeah, he's never had a season with 100 carries at TCU. He's never averaged below 7 yards a carry. He has 5 touchdowns and 4. He's an excellent receiver out of the backfield, even though they don't utilize him as that. Zach Evans is an Adrian Peterson level talent, and TCU was just, I guess, running the air raid with him. It was bizarre to have somebody like that and not utilize him.
Well, it's kind of like the way Tennessee utilized Alvin Kamara. Yeah. Not at all. I guess it's why Gary Patterson retired. And I don't know. I don't know why they didn't use him. This guy is a talent. This guy runs hard. He's fast. He's explosive. I mean, the guy is just electric, man. He's a home run threat. He comes into the SEC and immediately becomes one of the best backs. What does that tell you? He's a former 5-star, by the way. Mm-hmm. Kirby Smart had him on the hook. He got in a little trouble in high school. Ended up not being a thing, but scared a bunch of schools away from him. I think he was going to end up at Florida at one point. I think he's going to end up at Texas at one point. Landed in TCU, but it's unbelievable how good he is in the passing game as well. I mean, the guy's just a 5-tool player. Extremely, extremely talented. Just has a good burst, has a good vision, good knack for, running through traffic, a good zone runner, which will serve him really well in Ole Miss's offense.
Yeah, with all the zone and the up-tempo stuff that Ole Miss does, he's tailor-made for Zach Evans' skill set. But most offenses are, to be fair. But if Zach Evans could get, let's say, 150 carries this season, how many yards do you think he's looking at?
I would say 12. Well, the next guy we're going to talk about might cut into those yards a little bit, but I'd say, 1,300 yards would be something. What you think, 7.5 yards a carry, 100. Let me do the math on that. 7 yards a carry, 150 carries. Let's see. I'm not going to pull up my clock here. 150 times 7.5. That's 1,125 yards. So just based on if he just gets his average every time, he's going to get 1,100 yards. He's going to pop some big ones. He'll probably get stuffed in the backfield a few times too. So I'm saying 1,100 would be about where he's at.
All right. And I'm going to tell everybody why Zach Evans is so important for Ole Miss. Ole Miss is an RPO heavy offense. Mm-hmm. And what that means is you need the linebackers committing to the line of scrimmage to create passing opportunities in the lanes behind them. With Zach Evans in the backfield, those linebackers are going to come to the line of scrimmage so hard. Those RPOs are going to be, it's going to be great to see Jalen Robinson and Michael Trigg behind them because they're going to have so much space because of what he is going to demand from defenses.
There's one that I saw him do with Kenny Yeboah a lot, and it's just a little seam pop RPO where he kind of just sneaks him behind the line. He just kind of trickles into this open spot and he rides it down and he pops it to him, and that was extremely effective because you had an explosive running back, Jerry and Ely at the time, and so obviously you don't have that now. Now you got Zach Evans. And there's going to be a guy we talk about, Ulysses Bentley, too, who is just as good. Maybe not quite as much star power as Zach Evans, but, you have two really good options at running back that can help you in the RPO game. So this is, sky's the limit on this. And there's a lot of things you can do messing with these linebackers. And Zach Evans is a huge, huge reason why.
Yeah, if you go back to when we first started the podcast, way back when, and I think that was March of 2020 we started doing that, Corey. With
it was somewhere in there. It was the spring of 2020. We did boot camp the offense. I remember that.
Yeah, and one of the plays that was really big for Charlie Weiss Jr. and FAU was what you called the arrow screen, and to get out on the outside. And both of these backs could be very effective running something like that in space against, island players.
Yeah. Absolutely. You get those guys the ball in space, man, especially with Evans, it's game over. Whether you get a flare screen in there, you get him involved in the passing game by shooting him out in the flats on an arrow route as a part of like a snag concept or some sort of part of a vertical with just a dump off concept. Whatever you want to do, get the ball to him in space. That's going to put a lot of pressure on the defense for sure.
And also, if you look at it, Lane Kiffin, whenever he can and he has the people to do it correctly, he is a big screen guy. He likes running screens. And Zach Evans, he seems to be tailor-made for just even a normal conventional screen.
Yeah, the slow screen. You have all these aggressive defenses in the league, and you're going to see conventional slow screens, pop screens, middle screens, things like that. You're starting to see a lot of double and triple screens coming out of teams. I saw one that Western Kentucky did, and I don't know if Ole Miss has this in the back pocket. I'm sure they probably do if Western's doing it. But they flare the back out. They bring the solo receiver in for a middle screen, and they have a tunnel screen with the number 2 in the 3x1 coming back the other way. So it's like you have 3 options, really. The flare is more of a decoy, but, technically, if you get technical, you have 3 options. You could dump it out there to it if you wanted to.
Yeah, it should be really
all 5 pulling.
Yeah. It should be very interesting to see exactly what happens whenever they take the field against Troy. But just a second, this thing started talking.
It's chatting at you, Steve.
Yeah,
can his skill set translate from the Big 12 to the SEC? That's probably the question everybody's asking. I don't think I think it's a pretty easy answer. Yes. You just look, he just pops off the page, and TCU just criminally underused him.
Yeah, it's a shame they did that. But anyway, thank you very much, Corey. We'll come back with tomorrow, Ulysses Bentley IV. We'll talk about that. All right, thanks, Corey.
Mm-hmm.